Legend has it there is a land where knights battle for honor, where dragons fly through the air, where you can experience your wildest dreams or your darkest nightmares. It's time to live the legend of Camelot.
Located near Chorley in Lancashire, England, this 140-acre site promised the land of great nights and amazing days, yet suffered a similar, if not worse fate to its sister park, the American Adventure. After nearly 30 years, the magical kingdom of Camelot was no more. Camelot's theme park creation is nearly as fascinating as the Arthurian legend on which it was based. The land which Camelot Theme Park and the Park Hall Hotel stood was once the site of a Benedictine monastery. This land was given to Roger of Poitou by William the Conqueror as payment for his help in invading England. Passed on to Sir Henry de Lis, who built the manor house known as Park Hall, dating from the 10th century. Sir Henry held one half share of the manor of Charnock, the other half by Richard de Charnock, who gave the area its name, Charnock Richard. Located 3 miles west of Chorley, this site would be the future home to the Camelot Theme Park. In 1973, a local entrepreneur purchased the land and rebuilt the old manor house, converting it and other buildings in the area to a hotel complex. The area included a large horse show jumping arena known as the Hickstead of the North, and was actually a filming location for the 1978 American drama film called International Velvet. Camelot was one of the first parks in the UK to offer on-site accommodation.
Your visit to Camelot Theme Park even more magical. Stay at our hotel. Call 01257 455 000.
Site ownership passed through a number of operators, and the Camelot Theme Park was created in 1983. Close to the M6 motorway and only around 40 minutes from Manchester Airport, the site would become known as the Northwest Visitor Attraction of the Year in 1999. But a lot changed throughout the history of this park. That local entrepreneur who created Camelot was John Rigby, and if you remember him from the American Adventure expedition, he was also the founder of the American Adventure Park. Just a few years earlier, he had created his first fully themed park, Camelot. The park operated seasonally from 1983 until the end of 2012, and was based on the story of Camelot, King Arthur, and the Knights of the Round Table. John Rigby then sold his parks to Granada Entertainment. Granada built the iconic King Arthur themed castle that you now see today in many of the abandoned pictures which greeted guests entering the resort. The park featured many rides with a mixture of family-friendly and thrill rides throughout its lifetime, and one of the first and most remembered was The Beast, which opened in 1984. The ride had multiple names, starting with The Nightmare. Then in 1985, a mountain theme was placed over the ride. It was renamed Space Mountain. Such an original name for an enclosed roller coaster. Anyway, not surprisingly, it was again renamed to The Beast in 1988. In 2000, the ride was taken down to make space for the Castle Entertainment Centre. This project was actually cancelled, and the ride returned, minus the facade, with an added snake theme, and was renamed to Venom. 1987 saw the addition of Dragon Heights, which was removed due to its unreliability. Kingdom in the Clouds, a Ferris wheel overlooking the Knights Valley area, was added, which has since relocated to Pleasureland Southport, and also Dragonflyer, one of the only 2 diesel-powered roller coasters in the world, with the other being located in Algeria. The ride's trains were also relocated to Pleasureland Southport, however the ride still stands rusting away today in 2017. 1989 saw the addition of a steel sit-down roller coaster known as Tower of Terror. Okay, Camelot, you can have that name, you got it first. It featured the exact same layout as Scorpion at Busch Gardens Tampa. The ride was removed in 2000 to make way for a Vekoma in Vertigo. The other reason for its removal was due to the cost issues, since the ride was actually leased and not owned by the park. Planning permission for the new ride was actually denied, so the ride was replaced with the Gauntlet. While the ride was being removed, a spark created a fire on the foam castle that was part of the ride's theming. Luckily, the ride remained unscathed, and after a brief period at Dreamland Margate, it became Twist and Shout at the now closed Loudon Castle in Scotland. For 5 years from 1995, Excalibur existed in the park, a Weber dreamboat which was removed in the year 2000 at the same time as the Tower of Terror. The site sat empty until Whirlwind was added in 2003. Along with the Gauntlet, Excalibur 2 was added in 2001, replacing the recently removed Excalibur, which was a Fabry evolution and themed to be riding King Arthur's swinging sword. Interesting concept, right? The park was split over 3 levels and featured a number of different attractions throughout 4 main zones: King's Realm, Knight's Valley, Merlin's Playland, and Land of the Brave. Live entertainment offerings included the Avalon Jousting Nights. You really can start to see the similarities in the rides and show offerings with the American Adventure. 1998 saw an in-management buyout from 4 of the managers when Granada had owned the park. Roy Page at the time was a consultant after a 30-year career with First Leisure, which ran Blackpool Tower, Winter Gardens, and several piers throughout the UK. Roy began his career as an amusement arcade manager and went on to be one of the people responsible for trying to prolong the life of the Camelot Theme Park. He was asked to take a look at the park on behalf of its anxious backers, Close Brothers, the private equity house with a large financial stake in the initial management buyout. He formed a new team with financial director Eric Fordington, operations director Mark Leader, and with Close Brothers, they secured new backing from the Bank of Scotland, and ended up staying at the park and forming Prime Resorts. The mid-90s saw the peak of Camelot's attendance, with around 500,000 visitors throughout the season. The population from here would continue to decline, and in 2005, the attendance had dropped to 336,000 visitors. Camelot was facing similar problems as the American Adventure had, and if you remember that story, 2005 was the year that they had closed down 2 major thrill rides and rethemed themselves as a family park before fully closing in 2006. Roy Page is quoted as saying, "We had some great years at Prime Resorts from 1999 to 2003. Then around 2005, we started to see what was probably the early stages of the economic downturn. That, coupled with a deterioration in the summer weather, made it tough for us." Camelot, though, rode on, as King Arthur would probably say. Classic joke, I know. And added its final ride in 2007, the first in many years. A custom roller coaster built in 1987 for a theme park in Japan called Portopia Land, which was now also extinct. The ride was called BMRX and was a dark indoor ride with a huge mountain theme surrounding it. After Portopia Land closed in 2005, it was dismantled and shipped to the UK, at a cost of around £3 million to construct. Nightmare, reusing the name of the first incarnation of the Beast, was opened in the summer of 2007. Nightmare was up there, some say, with the most intense roller coasters in the UK, where you experienced almost 5 Gs and reached speeds of around 40 miles per hour. It was located in the Land of the Brave on the former site of Tower of Terror and the Gauntlet, and that is where it still stands today. 2009 announced that Prime Resorts was in receivership and would not reopen for the season. The hotel was bought by Lavender Hotels in March 2009, and in April 2009 it was announced a buyer had been found for the park, and that it would actually reopen in May 2009. The theme park was purchased by Story Group, a construction company based in Carlisle, who eventually planned to build houses on the land. Roy Page convinced the CEO Fred Story to continue with the theme park, at least for the time being. They leased the park to Knight's Leisure. Roy Page was managing director of this new company. He created and reunited with some of his old team, who set about reopening Camelot for a 15-week season, with a marketing slogan, "The Legend Lives On." This season was actually quite successful, and the park nearly didn't print enough maps for the demand. The season came to a close on September 6th, and planning began for 2010. Roy Page met with CEO Fred Story at the end of the year and told him that he had proved it worked and that he was confident they could go on from there and start looking at introducing new attractions. But how much longer did Camelot really have before the developers started to move in? When asked in 2009, Roy Page said that it wouldn't likely happen for at least the next 4 or 5 years, but the end of Camelot was looming. The last opening day for Camelot was September 2nd, 2012, and in November, Night Leisure announced the park would not reopen. After 29 operating years with over 150 employees during the season, the Camelot Theme Park was no more. Roy Page said the reason was poor weather and hits to attendance due to the other events going on in 2012. He said following a number of years of declining visitor numbers, the 2012 season had proven particularly challenging. Financial difficulties, management changes, a prime space for housing development, the fate of this park was definitely troubled, and the similarities and mistakes to its sister park, the American Adventure, are surprising to see, and eventually both parks suffered the same fate. Many people blame its downfall on the lack of new rides and investments, but for a company struggling to survive for many years, brand new top-of-the-edge rides were just not possible in the same way they were to other parks with bigger financial backers. Yet it's clear that many mistakes were made within the management of what could have been an iconic UK park. Eventually, the attractions and buildings, which were not sold around the world, were left to rot and rust. The magical place of Camelot never truly came to be. August 2014 saw an application by the Story Group denied to build 420 houses on the site. 2016 saw a second application to build 200 houses, and it's currently in the planning stages holding public exhibitions. As of December 2017, the Camelot Theme Park is still standing as another lost UK theme park. But at least we got that classic Sooty episode where they filmed their day out at Camelot.
On chaps and chapesses, are you all ready for a great day out? Who were the lucky ones?
Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. It really does help us out a ton, and if you have any suggestions for future videos you would like to see in the Extinct series, please do let us know. See you next time!